Kia ora. This video is to help you understand your obligations and what you need to do when a conflict of interest arises. If you or someone related to you is interested in buying or selling a property through your agency, the Real Estate Agents Act 2008 considers this to be a conflict of interest and sets out a few things you must do if you find yourself in this situation. On the REA website, you'll find helpful guidance for dealing with conflicts and gaining consent to protect yourself from legal challenges down the track. The Act has specific information concerning conflicts that you should be aware of. It can help you to understand if someone is related to you and how that might result in an unfair sale process. The people or entities that may be related to you will include your family members, your dependents, your partner, other employees within your agency, or an entity you have an interest in. Section 137 of the Act has a comprehensive list of who would be considered a related person. You must tell potential buyers if the vendor is related to you or a licensee within your agency before you give them the sale and purchase agreement. For example, if you are listing your mother's property, you will need to disclose this to buyers. Section 136 says you must disclose in writing if you or someone related to you will benefit financially from the transaction. If you have a relationship with the vendor before being asked to help with the listing, even if the vendor isn't one of the people or entities mentioned before, REA's best practice suggests that you should still advise your buyer in writing. This helps to prevent the buyer from finding out later and potentially making a complaint. If you or someone related to you wants to buy a property listed for sale by your agency, the vendor needs to give you their consent by filling out a form called Form 2, which you can find on the REA website. If the vendor gives you consent and completes Form 2, you must provide them with an independent valuation at your expense. If you're not able to provide the valuation upon signing, the vendor may agree to you giving them the valuation within 14 days of them signing the form. In this scenario, Form 2 requires you include a provisional value. The provisional value is the licensee appraisal figure. If the appraisal is a range, the provisional value is the sale price in the agency agreement that you used to estimate the commission the vendor would pay you. When your independent valuation is complete, you'll compare the valuation with the provisional value. If the valuation is greater than the provisional value you've written on Form 2, the vendor has the option to void the sale and purchase agreement. They may also choose to renegotiate the agreement or continue with it. If the valuation is less than or equal to the provisional value, the vendor is not able to void the agreement and you have a binding contract. When you're buying a property and you're the listing agent, you must pass the listing on to another licensee in your agency, or if it's still not possible to look after the vendor's best interests, consider having another agency handle the listing. Check your agency's policy on conflict of interest. If the listing stays within your agency, make sure it's not connected to you at all. If it gets passed on to someone like your business partner or your colleague, this may still be a conflict of interest. Your supervising agent or branch manager will be able to assist you with your decision. Note that by law, it's not possible to waive any of these steps, even if, for example, the vendor says they do not need an independent valuation. The vendor may cancel the sale and purchase agreement if you miss any of these steps. Remember also, the vendor needs to fully understand the consequences of signing Form 2. For example, they need to know the binding nature of the form if the independent valuation is less than the provisional value. These obligations continue to apply after an agreement becomes unconditional, right up until settlement, even if you weren't involved in negotiations. Find out more about conflicts of interest, access the necessary forms, and check out the REA website for examples of conflict complaints made against agents and their results. And if you know anyone who might be interested in this topic, send them a link. Thanks for watching. This video was brought to you by the Real Estate Authority.